So, this is our pattern for today. Jennifer Williams has done this, and she made this pattern for Ring of Tatters. I posted the link at the very beginning of class, so it should be up there. If not, Pam, can you please post the link, or Sue? And we're going to do this. It is a beginner butterfly, but it is one that you can change up, add to, or do various different things with. They're Maltese. They're a Maltese Shih Tzu hybrid. All right, now back to the pattern. So, in this pattern, Jennifer shows us that it's written in diagram. She's also got it written in longhand, okay, or long form, whichever way you want to call it. I usually, when I get patterns with diagrams, I follow them. Because I am a right-handed tatter, I always start on the right side. But Jennifer has been so kind to put in an A, where we're going to start. If you are a left-handed tatter, you will start on the left side. And your work will flow to the left, because you're automatically tatting to the left. Right-handers tat to the right. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? I'll give it a couple of more seconds and then we'll move on, because I am running in a lag here. Okay. All right. Thank you, Robin. Okay. Now, with her instructions, written instructions, she's written them out for a right-handed tatter. If you were a left-handed tatter, the instructions would be the same in written form. Does that make sense? The diagrams are written to show you how the pattern's done. Right-handed, left-handed can follow a diagram pretty easy, depending on which direction they tat in. Right-handers tat to the right, but when you get to the written form of this pattern, it is written no matter if you're right or left-handed. Even though it says ring A, a left-handed tatter, their ring A would be this side. So therefore, you're tatting in the order that it needs to be tatted. Does that make sense? Now I'll give it a few seconds for the lag, and then move on. Somebody say yep or yes, or just a Y will do. Even a thumbs up. All right. So, if you're a right-handed tatter, diagrams or written. If you're a left-handed tatter and you're not sure about the diagram, fall back to the written. Always fall back to the written if you're left-handed, because most everything that is done is written or done for right-handers. Hold on, that may be my husband back. Okay, no, that's not Daddy, baby. Come here. All right, now, so this is a one shuttle project. Yes, it is, Fred. And you know, once you get all these butterflies tatted up, there's so many things you can do with them. Okay, you can hand them out as you go out to dinner, and you leave a tip, leave a butterfly. Yes, Melissa, I agree. A lot of left-handed tatters read the pattern and tat it as written, but in reality, you're tatting it opposite, because most people don't put A, B, C, D. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Stop. I'm gonna get you. Oh my goodness. The dog upstairs went out on the porch and she wondered why. All right, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to wrap our hand to tat this pattern. Now, let me zoom in just a hair so you all can see what I'm doing a little better. Okay? You wrap your hand. For all you beginners, this thread has a tail. You put that tail right over that finger. The tail comes out back here, and you wrap your thread around your hand. Bring it back up in between the two fingers. This is known as the pinch. Okay? So when somebody says, put it in the pinch, they mean put it in here. All right? Now, our first double stitch to this pattern, because she calls for 10 double stitches before this picot. Okay? Let me get the diagram back down here. She's calling for 10 double stitches and then a picot. So we're going to put in the 10 double stitches. So to do that, this is how you create a double stitch and create that flip. For those of you that don't know how, you roll that thread till it comes across your hand. Your shuttle goes under that thread, through, back over, and through that loop. Now watch what my two hands do at this point. This one closes up and this one pulls out. And what I have just done is flip this thread back over. I have created the flip. Okay? Let me see if that was him. Getting all kinds of dings and pings. Nope. Okay, we're going to do that again, and we're going to do the second half of that double stitch. Okay, to do the second half, we hold our shuttle, we go over the thread, under the thread, and back through that loop. Watch my hands. When this one comes forward, this one closes. Did you see that flip occur? Then you pull it down and you have created a complete double stitch. Does everybody get that? We're going to do it again. Okay? Roll that thread across our fingers. Run the shuttle up under this thread here. Under, then over that thread and through our loop. You see this loop? We're transferring it over. The minute I drop that and pull that one tight, it's transferred, and you slide it into the pinch. That second half is over, under, flip the stitch, and back in line. You got that? Everybody got that? We're going to do that 8 more times. That's 3, 4. All right, Harold, I will. Thank you. 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that should give us a total of 10. Wait a minute, I only got half of that 8. 10 double stitches, right? So we're going to count them. 1, 2, Oops, let me get my hands over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Still need one more, and that is 10. Okay? Open that ring up. What you're going to do, when your ring gets tight like this, you want to slide your hand back here to the back side, hold this first stitch in the pinch, and lightly pull. And pull you some thread. And where you're pulling from is this shuttle. Stretch that shuttle out while you hold this pinch in place. All right? Everything's in the pinch. Now we're going to put in a picot. A picot is only a piece of bare thread space, okay, that sticks out above your tatting. There are two ways you can make a picot. You can do it. You okay, baby? It's okay. It's okay. All right, you can do the picot in between the two stitches, okay, the first and the second half, or you can do it between a full double stitch and another full double stitch. That's the way we're going to do it today. We're going to put in our picot. Yes, I do advise using picot gauges, but they tend to hamper you seeing what I'm doing. So I don't use them in demonstration. All right? So we put in the first half, then we put in the second half. And this gap here is going to be our picot. You pull it down, and there's our picot. Okay? So the next part of this pattern, it says, after that first picot, we want one double stitch. Then we want another picot and one double stitch. Well, there is the one double stitch. So we've got to put in another picot. So slide the paper down so it doesn't hamper. And we're going to put in another picot. Now these picots can be the same size. You can vary those picots, add a little pizzazz. You can put beads on these picots. Once you learn how to tat a little better, incorporate beads. Okay? So, we've got our two picots. We've got our one double stitch and the one double stitch. Now we're going to put in our third picot. All right? And we're going to close it up. There we go. Now, we've got our third picot. The next part of this says we have to have 7 double stitches to this next picot right here. We've already got the first double stitch right here. So we need 6 more double stitches. Let me move the paper so you can see what I'm doing. So 1, and this one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. Now we have our 7 double stitches. We need more thread. So what do? We grab from the back side, stretch that ring open. All right. It's coming from this shuttle. So we have to open that up some more so we have room to work. All right. Now, the next step of this pattern, she has a joining picot right here. Joining picots are usually very tiny picots. I mean, just like a dot, okay? Enough to get whatever you're going to use to pull your thread through to join with is all the space you need. Does everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up or a yes or a yay or a who or a what. Don't matter. Let me know you understand and you're staying up with me. I'll give it a couple of seconds. Thank you, Harala. Okay, now for our tiny, tiny picot, let me move this paper again. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a double stitch. That's the first of the next set of 3. Watch how I'm bringing that picot down. Now, some people will use the pick of their shuttle to hold their picot. Some people use a picot gauge. But when you're dealing with fine, tiny picots, they have wires that are about that small. What I do to make sure, as a new person, okay, a new tatter, once you get professed, you'll understand the size of your picots. They'll be more uniform. Picot gauges come less handy, okay, because your fingers remember. Stick your little crochet hook in there. You can leave it there. Do the other half of that stitch. Lock it down. And you now have your joining picot. And your little hook will fit through. But do you see how small that picot is? Now, we're going to put the other 2 of that set of 3 double stitches in here. And then we're going to get ready to close our ring. Now, as a beginner, you can grab your 2 ends and you can close that ring. But being you're a beginner, why not get used to posting your shuttle? Because you're going to hear that in the advanced classes. Post your shuttle. Posting your shuttle means drop that shuttle down through that ring before you close it. Then pull your ring up into the pinch and pull it closed. Okay, see what I'm doing here? I'm closing that ring. What that does when you post the shuttle, it puts all your stitches to the front. Okay, this end stitch does not fold over on itself. So posting your shuttle is a good thing. However, there is an exception to that rule. If you have a whole lot of picots all lined up here and you've only got 1 double stitch at the end of that ring, if you post that shuttle, you're going to lock up the ring. That last stitch will unflip itself. That is a common error that a lot of tatters do. And then you're sitting there going blind, digging into your fingers, possibly cutting them, bleeding all over your tatting, trying to get that last double stitch out to open your ring. Okay? So if you don't have at least 2 double stitches before the end, you close, don't post your shuttle. My advice to you is don't post your shuttle, because you're going to kink up that end. However, on a ring like this, it does make it easier to open the ring if need be. Whereas if you just close it, it's a fight to get it open. That will come in a later lesson on how to open the ring after it's been closed to repair a mistake. So, we're going to move on to the next part of this. Now it says here we have a series of 3 double stitches, okay, and we join to that joining picot and put in 4 double stitches between it and this next picot, okay? So let's go there. Let's get that done. We're going to wrap our hand into the ring. Now, our first double stitch, let me get this set up so y'all can see it in my fingers. You see how I've got this ring laid this way? It is so when I set this first double stitch, it's going to come up right next to the base of this ring. And guess what that prevents? The critical gaposis. Okay, you want that first double stitch to lay right next to the base of the previous ring, so you don't have a gap in your rings and it looks more fluent. Unless a pattern says they want a gap there, you want to close that gap. So the way to do it is bring that first double stitch in, slide it all the way over. Can you see? All the way over. Hold it in the pinch so that it does not move. Put in your second double stitch and slide it into place in that pinch. And you are snug as a bug in a rug and no gap. Yes, you're rotating your work. That means 1/4 turn in either direction. Your work may need to be turned 1/4 this way, depending on what's coming out, okay? But it's 1/4 rotate your work, okay? So, now let's put in those other 2 double stitches. Now, here comes our join. We've got our 3 double stitches. Now we're going to do what is the most common join, an up join. What you do, you see this thread's on my hook. You grab that thread that's on your loom and you pull it through. When you pull it through, hook it on that finger. I think Hubs is home. He is. Let's finish this join and then I'll help him with the dogs, okay? So, we're doing an up join here. That means the thread came up through the picot. Drop your shuttle through that little loop on your finger and pull it down. See how close that is? All right, now I'm going to mute the mic and you all talk amongst yourselves till I get back here, okay? And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I told you I wouldn't be gone too long. All right, let me get this back on my hand. Y'all miss me. All right, now, it says we have to put in 4 double stitches, right? Okay, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now, it says on that pattern, we need another picot. So, as you can see, my ring's a little tight. So, let's open up our ring. All right, now let's put in that picot. All right, now on the other side of this picot, it calls for 7 double stitches. So we put in our 7, but remember, when we place the picot, we used a double stitch and place the picot in between the stitches. Do you see that? So, really, all we need is 6. And we put in 2 now, so we need 5 more. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now what are we going to do? We're going to post that work. Or post that shuttle, excuse me. Yeah, my tired's is catching up, ladies. It's a catching up. Post the shuttle through our ring. Pull that ring up. And we close it. Make sure that it's closed tight. And as you can see, we have 1/2 of our butterfly. Okay? Now, this ring did not have a joining picot because this is the back wings of the butterfly. They're not joined to anything. But if you look at a real butterfly, their wings are joined here close to the body. So this is similar to a real live butterfly, the way it is created, okay? Shayna, it depends on the tatter. Some tatters will count it as half of a double stitch and then finish off with the second half or the first half, whichever. It depends on the tatter. The way I'm doing it, I am not counting the picot as part of a double stitch. It's on its own. Okay? Does that make sense? The picot, yes, Pam, the picot is spaced between stitches. But in Jan's theory of tatting, half of that picot is counted as a half stitch. So that's what I mean by, yes, it can be in some tatters, but for the most part, it is bare thread space between 2 double stitches. No, not in this pattern. We're not counting it as any part of a stitch. It is just a picot, Shayna. Does that make sense? I won't move on until I get a thumbs up. Somebody send me a thumbs up. Give me a A-okay. Thank you, Harala. Okay, let's move on with the next butterfly part. That's C, our ring C. Again, we've got 7 double stitches to put on this ring here. No, the join is not counted as any part of the stitch. The join is not counted as any part of the stitch. Do you understand that, Shanna? Does that make sense to you? It is just a join. When you advance further and learn more joins, okay, then you'll understand why that is, more so. But right now, it's affirmed a join is not counted as part of that stitch. Okay? So, now, we've got the first half of the first double stitch for this next ring, which is ring C on your pattern. Correct, Shayna, correct. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, again, we need more thread. So we pull it out. But as you can see, that ring is right next to the other ring. Okay, now we have this picot. As you can see, it's an exact duplicate but opposite of the other side. So let's put in that other picot. Here we go. Now we've got the first double stitch in the series of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now as you can see, my thread, this is Elizabeth, folks. You see how it's kinking up on itself? What we're going to do is we're going to drop it, let that twist out, and I'm going to show you a trick again. If you take your rings while it's on your hand and you pull it tight, see how I've let the thread pull in my hand, flip it over the back, turn your hand upside down, grab this back end and watch. It's going to pull every bit of that twist out that was in your thread. Just let it spin until it stops. Okay, now we got our twist out. We've done our 4 double stitches. Now we've got to have that little tiny joining picot over here. So let's put that in. I'm not going to use the crochet hook this time. Okay, we got it put in. We've got our first of a series of 3. And this is number 2, and this is number 3. Now what are we going to do next? We are going to post our shuttle. As you post it, bring that ring up into your pinch. You want to pull it towards the close. Okay? Keep pulling it towards the close. That helps prevent the gaposis. Okay? Now, here comes the last ring. This tail is going to get in your way. The best way to handle it is grab it underneath and pull it under your work. That way it doesn't hamper you. Then wrap your hand for your next ring. We're going to do 3 double stitches. Tighten it up. Okay? And we're going to join. We've got our 3. You're welcome, Corinne. Corrine. That's how we say it. I'll get it right eventually. All right. Now, we've hooked it on our finger. We're going to join. Just a regular, everyday join. Okay, adjust it. Make sure it lays beside the ring. Stretch our loom out. This is called a loom. If you're making a chain and you're wrapped for a chain, it's still a loom. Okay? So, we've got to put in 7 double stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now here comes our 3 picots that are at the top of the second wing of the butterfly. Right here. We got those 3 picots. So let's put in our first one. And each picot has a double stitch between them. So we got 1, 2, and 3. All right, we got our 3 picots. Our loom needs opening again. And we've got the first double stitch of the last 10 on this ring. So we go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, what are we going to do? We are going to post our shuttle. Go in through that ring and pull it through. Ready? Now, we have that ring closed, and we have our butterfly. What is left is the antenna. So, here's where we cut off our thread, lay our shuttle to the side. The best way is to turn the butterfly upside down so that the knot comes in on the back side. Turn this around so you can see better. Okay, you have the right side and the left side here. Let me get my little string straightened out. Okay, you see? There it is. We have our left antenna, our right antenna, and our left antenna. Well, we're going to make the world's smallest knot. Anybody know what that is? It is right over left. Up through our loop. See? Now we take left over right. Okay? And we tie it down. But you want to bring this all the way down. Pull that butterfly in to itself. Yeah, it's going to get squirrely. So, once you get it, take the left side, fingers, over the right and through our loop. And this is the world's smallest knot. It's called a weaver's knot. Okay? And it sets better if it sets between the 2 wings. Now we have our antenna. You say, oh my word, they're long antenna. I do that for a reason. I have fat fingers. Fat fingers, it's hard to tie knots. Okay? So, you want to tie a knot about an inch above your butterfly. So you grab your thread. Just tie just a little tiny knot. There is no set height. The knot is up to you. Okay? And then you snip your thread right above that knot. Okay? Now, if you was doing a butterfly for competition, you'd want to make sure your antenna were equal on size. The knots were even. Okay? But since we're beginners, we're not thinking competition. We're not thinking exams. We are beginners, correct? So, beginners do simple, easy, and come out elegant. There is our little butterfly. Now, you can put this butterfly on a little girl's dress. You can make several of them, and you can join these 2 side picots and make you a whole trim of butterflies. You can take these butterflies and join them to hanky, anything you want. Okay? You can even glue one of those little tiny pin bags on here and make a little pin for a little girl. You can put beads on your picots. You can make your picots various sizes. You can put in more picots. This butterfly has a lot of versatility. So, what I want you to do for homework, okay, and then we'll get into the question and answer segment. What I want you to do for homework is I want you to tat a butterfly. I want you to add more picots. You can add them anywhere on this butterfly you want. I want you to make sure if you add 4 picots over here, you make 4 over here. Okay? I want you to try to attach a butterfly on each side. And I want you to attach a butterfly down here. Okay? Because what you can do is make what they call a butterfly cross. You can go up and you can go across. And you can have a butterfly cross. Memorial Day is coming up. Wouldn't that be so pretty, stuck in a bouquet of flowers at the grave sites? Okay? So, that's your homework. Tat some butterflies. Easy peasy. Alright, now let me switch cameras. We'll go back up and we're going to do some question and answer. Just a second. Alrighty. Now, any questions? And it matters not if it's about this class or just a generic question about tatting. I want to answer your questions. We had one here a couple of days ago from someone wanted to know how come we have so many rings in tatting. There's a good reason for it. A lot of the rings we use are for a purpose. Split rings are used to make a chain. They're used to come in from one round out to another. Pam, please put the link up for the pattern, please. Thank you. Yes, you can block it. You can glue your tatting. Okay? I've got something. Let me see. Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Have y'all ever seen this? It's called Diamond Glaze. Do you know what you can do with Diamond Glaze? It is a glue. When it dries, it hardens it like ceramic. Okay? You can use this. Once it's dry, it doesn't wash out. Okay? And it makes it hard. So if you want to make a wind catcher, sun catcher, whatever, and hang little butterflies from it, you can use this Diamond Glaze. Okay? And then you can hang them outside. It protects the tatting. Okay? A lot of people do resin. Yeah, we're going to have a lesson on that in the advanced class, how to embed our tatting in resin. But you can get it at Amazon. Okay, the Diamond Glaze comes from Amazon. It's a little steep in price, but well worth it. And you just use the end of a toothpick. Okay? The end of a toothpick and smear it around on your tatting. It does not take much. Okay? I'm not sure. I know their site is still there, Rooster, but I'm not sure if they're still going on. So, yeah, Ring of Tatters has got bukus of information for new tatters. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, LMD. Okay. Yeah, I put the link in the email that I sent out. And if for anybody that can't access the link for one reason or another, it is on the class website at georgiasites.com, and it is under Beginner Shuttle Tatting Lessons and Logs 2021. And there'll be a link directing you to the download. Okay. Any other questions? A picot, it can come in between 2 double stitches, or it can come in between the first half and the second half of a double stitch. Let me show you the difference. All right, I'm going to do a chain real quick, okay? I got twisty thread, people. I got twisty thread. Now, I'm going to put a knot in this thread. Okay, so I can do a chain and show you the difference between the 2 picots. Okay, you would do a picot after 2 double stitches, all right? Or after the double stitch. Here is what that picot looks like when you do it after and before a double stitch. Let me get this over to you. Now look at my thread that's hanging at the end. I did that so that I'd have something to grab a hold of. But can you see how the picot lays behind the double stitches? Okay. Now, we're going to do a picot in between a double stitch, between the first and the second half. Okay, that didn't show up very well on camera. So, I'm going to tap one that is between a first and second half, and then I'll do a camera down shot, okay? Folks, yo, I am getting tired here, getting tired. Alright, let me switch cameras here. I know, I'm going to switch cameras and let y'all see. Alright, let me bring that up. Okay, this is a picot between 2 double stitches. This picot is setting between 2 half stitches. You see, it brings the picot forward on the second one, but it sets the picot behind on the first one. And it's up to you on when you're doing this way. It's usually done in front side, back side tatting because it looks like it's unfinished, whereas the first one looks finished because it's got 2 completed double stitches on either side of that picot. It's all in preference to the tatter, okay? There are rules in tatting, but the rules that are required in tatting are make sure your stitches are even. Make sure you take your hand and run your fingernail along a chain to make sure it lines up correctly and that the thread is not twisted inside the chain. Those are rules that are I'm going to put it in a competition. I'm doing exams to get my master's. Okay? Things like that. Yeah, you need those rules. But to tat and make lace, the basics are a double stitch, a picot, and a join. And that's all that's required. The rest of it is fancy frill. Okay? There are techniques that make it easier to do certain things in tatting. But the basics of tatting is a double stitch is 2 halves. First half, second half. A picot, whether you put it in between 2 full double stitches or in between 2 half stitches. And join. That is as generic as you can get. The hardest part about basic tatting is the flip. Once you conquer it, the rest is easy peasy. It looks difficult, it looks complicated, but it's really not. It's all in how you manipulate the thread. Does that make sense to everybody? No, what I said was, Melissa, was count the first half of the double stitch, not the picot. You don't count the picot because your picot is falling in between double stitches. Okay? It's not becoming part of the double stitches. Does that make sense to you? You would do a first and second half of the double stitch, a bare thread space for your picot, and then a first and second half of a double stitch. So therefore, your picot falls in between 2 full double stitches. I know a lot of people will tell you 150 different things. And the way I count when I'm tatting, especially in a pattern that has a blue million picots, I'm going 1 picot, 2 picot, 3 picot. And it's actually a completed stitch. It's not a first or a second. It's a completed stitch. Everybody got that? Any other questions? Pam, any questions while I was demonstrating? Melissa, I'm going to give you sound advice. You tat the way that makes you happy. Because that is what makes tatting unique. Each tatter has her own way to tat. The rules of thumb are double stitch consists of 2 halves. A picot and a join is necessary no matter if it's a ring or a chain. For size 20, I use a size 14 crochet hook. And they're the steel crochet hooks. The larger your thread, bye Teresa, the larger your thread, the larger your crochet hook should be, because what you'll find, if it gets too small, it will split the ply on your thread and cause it to get wonky on there, and then you get slubs in your thread that you created. You don't want that. When you go to close a ring, if you've got a slub in your thread, it's not going to close properly. Yes, Shanna. The one that Sue was showing you was more of a intermediate advanced, type technique. And I talked with her and I said, I think because so many people were so confused, I said, I think we need to step back and get the basics of tatting out there to you guys so that you can join in the fun and understand how tatting works. You're very welcome, Abel. Yes, I will show how to open a closed ring. I can do that real quick. So we've still got time. I am going to do a ring of 6 double stitches, a picot, and 6 double stitches. Yeah, my tongue and teeth are not working together today. 5, 6. I'm going to put in a picot, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we are going to close this ring. Then I'm going to the down shot, and I'm going to show you how to open this ring. Alright, so let me switch cameras. Okay, here we go. We have our tatted ring. See it? It's closed. Oops, I forgot to put in a double stitch, say. What you do, little trusty crochet hook. Drop it down through your picot. If you don't have a picot, you can pick anywhere in between any 2 stitches. Okay? What you want to do, pull that core thread up. Alright? And it will work itself open. It just takes some time. Okay, you see I've got my core thread. Hold that ring in your pinch, because if you don't, that last double stitch is going to turn over. Lock your ring up. Okay, once you have enough, let me get my hackle pliers. And yes, I have some somewhere in this bag. I got them. Okay, these are hackle pliers. Anybody know what these are used for? I will tell you. Fly fishing. They use it to tie the fly. Okay? So, use your hackle pliers. Grab that core thread. Okay? That you pulled up. And you start working that open. See how that thread's pulling out? The ring is in my pinch. Okay? Once you have enough thread, you open the base of your ring. Okay? Grab that base right up through there and start pulling thread back around from that picot. Once you get it open enough to wrap it, see how I'm doing? I'm working it open so I can put the loom back on my hand. Okay, once you get it back on your hand, you can correct your mistake, post your shuttle again, and close your ring. And we now have our ring closed. All right. Everybody get that? Yeah, it's the best invention since sliced cheese, Abel. The fisherman's fly. Amazon carries them in 3-packs. They're pretty reasonable. And they have a grip to them. You'd be surprised the many things that you can use these things for. There are so many threads. You only have one thread unless you're using more than one shuttle or 2 shuttles. You have the thread coming from your shuttle that goes to a ball or another shuttle. That's only one thread. What you're talking about is ends. When the thread gets twisted, it looks like we've got 10,000 ends, and it's not. It is called Hackle Pliers. They're used for fly fishing. Bye, Sue. Yes, we can, Melissa. On Facebook, there is a group called the Online Tatting and Design Class and something else. I don't know. That is the class page that I tend to, and but it's on Facebook. Yeah, they do. They've got crisscross, what they call crisscross scissors, and what they are is they're just basically a set of long type tweezers. I have some somewhere available. I can't find them right now, but I have a set, and use them in beadwork. You can also use this. Just make sure you get the ones that don't have the teeth on it. It will damage your thread. Okay? I don't know what they're called. Hemostats. But, yes, these are used in beadwork. You'd be surprised the tools that we use in tatting. They belong to other things. So, yeah. Exactly, Fred, exactly. Most of the tools that I use, I've already had, because I use them in other things. These I used are, I used them when I was doing wire beadwork, and it was to keep my hands from getting tore up by the wire. And made it easier to grip. So, if that's it, no more questions, that's the class for today. Now, Pam's going to hold class tomorrow for needle tatters because YouTube went crazy last Tuesday. So, we got her all going. You got a good husband, Teresa. Let's just face it. Ronnie's a great guy. So no more questions, folks? Yeah, it's where I'm headed. Straight to the bed. Shut my little peepers. I'm exhausted. He's trying to feed the girls now, and both of them, and they're just gaggy. So I'm going to have to get in there and help him. So until next week, Monday we finish up our tulip. I teach you how to do the split ring, loop tatted split ring to finish up our tulip. Wahoo, Teresa. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Narsha. Thank you, Melissa. Now, if y'all have any questions, you know you can write me at the online tatting class at gmail.com. And I will get back to you, just not today because I'm going to sleep. But tomorrow I will get back to you. But Pam can answer just about any question y'all got. All right, Abel. Y'all have a wonderful night and happy tatting to everyone.